welcome back. You are still tuned in to Fantastic Fridays. As I said, we're here with you every Friday and all the Friday winner name Friday from 5 p.m. till 8 p.m. And from you hear that song, you know what time it is. It is time for Talk the Ting with Kim. And for this week, we're gonna discuss. This is a topic requested by Sean. Big up Sean, right now on the live, guys. As you know, every single week I look forward to the feedback. I look forward to the questions. I look forward to hearing your opinions on the topic. So feel free to interact with us. We will be checking the chat, whether myself, Jada, or Lionel. And I tell you, it's always an interactive discussion, right?
Yes, sir.
But this topic was a very timely topic, so once again, big up you, Sean, because as we said, it tied into Child's Month, it tied into Mother's Day, it tied into a whole lot of things for this particular month. It was a perfect topic, and once again, it is called toxic parenting, right? So I hope that while we are discussing this, we're looking into it. If it is that we're parents or parent figures, probably guardians, or you look out for your neighbor, the picnic them sometime on them up there, we have to look into these things, and then also see if probably your parents are guilty of some of these things, because guys have to understand, before anything else, our parents are humans too, right? That's something that I learned, I think, in adulthood. I learned that I had to forgive a lot of things because, growing up, you see them as superior. You see them as superhumans. They could do no wrong. So in the instance that they did do wrong, it was like a major disappointment. It really hurt you because you're like, they're superior. They know everything. They make no mistakes.
Yeah.
But then as an adult, when you start to see that, maneuvering this life, it's not easy. And mistakes are probably more bound to happen than the correct thing. So you give them more grace. So I hope that from that perspective, we dissect this information that we're about to get into, all right? So I'm going to get into it without further ado. And I have to say, guys, probably a bit of more than I could chew because there was so much information on this. Information on this, right? No, for real, it was a whole lot of information. So I had to like pick out some stuff because I don't think we could have gone through this in a one segment, probably not even 3 segments, because this is a lot, right? But we're gonna try to go into as much as we can. So let's get to it. Parents are human beings, and that means that they make mistakes, they yell too much, and do potentially damaging things to their kids, even unintentionally. But for most parents, their impulse is to do better and make things right.
Okay.
What happens, however, when the parental relationship turns toxic? So we understand toxic relationships now. I think we have more control when it comes to that because you can leave it. If you choose. I mean, it may take us some time, but you can leave it. But is it so easy, or is it even possible to leave a toxic parenting relationship?
As a child?
Exactly. So we're going to get more into that. So let's begin by defining what a toxic parent is. To be clear, toxic parenting isn't a medical term, so I don't think it's something that is medically diagnosed or anything.
Right, you can't get toxic parenting.
You can't go. You tell the doctor your problems, and then they're like, you know what you're suffering from?
Toxic parenting.
Toxic parent. No, it's not a medical term, right? So it's not necessarily a clearly defined concept either. Now, when people discuss toxic parents, they are typically describing parents who consistently behave in ways that cause guilt, fear, or obligation in their children. Their actions aren't isolated events, but actually patterns of behavior that negatively shape their child's life. A toxic parent is more concerned with their own needs than whether what they're doing is hurtful. They likely won't apologize or even admit that what they're doing is wrong. And the abuse or neglect tend to be ongoing or progressive. So toxic parent is an umbrella form for parents who display some of the following characteristics. So for this segment, we're going to really be highlighting also the things that I think, I mean, I could relate to some. I know you guys probably can. So as I said, this is more of an evaluation session because this is a part one of at least a two-part segment so far. So next week we're hoping to have a specialist in it that can give us the answers. I didn't want to go into the answers because I feel like they'd give better answers than I could ever research,
I
right?
don't want to misinform you.
So this is now more to help you to come up with questions that when we do have the guest next week, you know, you can come with prepared questions because we could have go through this together. Big up Joanna Yahweh, big up Nikki, big up Purple Princess One. Guys, as I said, I love getting your questions. I love your perspective. I love your opinion. So feel free to share it. We will be checking the messages and feel free to send your questions or comments as well on our WhatsApp number. It is 876-792-3530. So as I said, we're going to highlight some characteristics that toxic parents tend to have.
Right.
Number one, self-centered behaviors. And we're going to highlight some behaviors. So your parent may be emotionally unavailable. Narcissistic, yes, you can have narcissistic parents. That's not a term I've ever heard. I always hear about your narcissistic partners, but you can have narcissistic parents,
but what if those narcissistic partners have a child with you?
Exactly.
so
that's something to look into as well.
Yeah.
Now, I just find it so interesting that I hear the term narcissistic all the time in romantic relationships, but when I evaluate it, you can have...
How does the child defend against that?
Exactly.
Like, at least an adult will probably say, boy, understand what's going on.
I love that your thought process is going where mine went. Because I've never thought of a narcissistic parent, right? And then you have some parents who are just perhaps uncaring when it comes to things that you need. It may feel like all situations return to the same question, which is, what about me? Right? Brandon said, I want to call you guys on WhatsApp to talk about this topic. Listen, Brandon, feel free to, call in. I don't know if we can have an ongoing conversation because we do have to get through the content as well. So what you can do as well, if you want to drop feedback or even ask your questions, you can stick to the live. You can call in. We can probably do a quick conversation there.
You can send a voice note.
I was about to say, and you can send a voice note as well, right?
Yeah, so
we're trying to ensure that it's something that not only you, especially you, because you started, you wanted this conversation, we want to be able to get into it together.
Yeah.
So a sign or one of the things that comes under self-centered behaviors, they always put their feelings first. Parents may believe that their feelings should come first during family matters, but this is an antiquated, aka old way of thinking that is not going to foster positive relationships. So that's something that you can relate to, where parents believe that them not wrong or whatever they feel is automatically above what you feel as their child. Can anybody relate to that?
Yeah.
Where you probably feel that way, but it's like they must say, well, me the mother or me the father.
I've heard that before.
You've heard that before?
Yeah.
Jada, my concern when Jada take my phone and type in because
somebody asked for the WhatsApp number.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So is that something that you guys have been victims of, right? And I mean, I don't really like using victim because it's such a strong word.
Yeah.
But it's a reality, parents putting their feelings first above their kids. That's one sign of self-centered behaviors.
Well, I think even Kimmie, when you mentioned last time that one of the go-to phrases used to be for parents to say children should be seen and not heard.
Exactly.
That ties into that actual effect, because imagine they're saying, you're probably talking to, somebody and the child come, Mommy, I'm cut my foot or this. But
can't do that now.
Yeah, brush that aside.
Can't do that now.
Yeah, you're a child, just hold your corner. You know what I say? So that kind of behavior ties into that action.
Yes, and Johanna says they are very, very manipulative.
Yeah.
I have experienced this, right? So guys, I love that we can evaluate this. Another thing that another self-centered behavior that you can look into. Toxic individuals constantly, let's go to toxic parents, constantly force children to suppress their own feelings to appease their parents. Everything is about them and their feelings. So this ties back into putting their feelings first. If there's one trait that most toxic parents share, it's this one. Toxic parents struggle to separate themselves and their feelings from parenting.
Yeah.
They can't grasp the role of a parent, which is one of service. Most parents don't look at that. I think also parents feel like, okay, you are indebted to me once you're my child. I realize also parents, once you become an adult, there's all of a sudden all kind of requests. It's basically like this is them ticket out of working, all of these things. And we're not gonna say your kids can't turn around and help you, but the reality is they're not obligated.
Right.
That is literally the reality. It's so harsh. It's so harsh. But we're not obligated to do so, but out of love, out of respect, out of whatever bond and the seeds that have been planted in us, as our children turn around and say, yeah, mama, want make mommy life better, mom make daddy life better. Nothing is wrong with that, but I pray more parents realize it's not something you're owed. Children never beg to be here. You literally brought them here, so they don't really owe you. So they do all these things and invest so much in them and feel like, okay, when you're an adult, I must can reap. It's not an investment plan. Wait, let me say, it's not a retirement plan.
Right.
A lot of people have kids for a retirement plan.
Well,
And that's sad.
I mean, the main thing I would say in that situation now, you see, when you teach a child to love and care for each other, then you have that support. But it's not, as I say, as Kim says, it's not a put on and you're gonna bring forth for me and you're gonna do this and you just there and give me back nothing. It's not that kind of a relationship where you're basically bringing forth worker bees.
That's really what other parents see it as. So that's something that I want us to really look into. So as I said, and see if it's something that you can relate to. Because I guess we love our parents, we love our parents, but the reality is that they are humans too, and they may have exhibited some of these behaviors, right? So putting your feelings first, and then also forcing your children to suppress their feelings because they feel that as the parent, my feeling come first. But really, parenthood is the role of parenthood is one of service. Your job is to give your kid or kids the best possible chance to grow and develop into a well-rounded and healthy human being. And I think we need to probably write down that definition, because I don't think a lot of parents are doing that, right? Another one, a lot of parents are emotionally loose cannons.
Whoa.
They overreact or create drama. They make mountains out of molehills. Some toxic parents cannot discern a big problem from a small one. In their eyes, every little act of disobedience or disagreement, every poor grade and every dirty sock on the floor is the end of the world. Such toxic parents typically don't know how to pick their battles, so they just harp on every little thing, often raising anxious children who are petrified to fail, or impulsive kids who don't care about anything since they're always in some sort of trouble anyways. So might as well come and get cussing feet anyways. So these are often the same parents who treat everything that goes wrong like a life or death matter. Their kids often grow up with an impending sense of doom they just can't shake. So this is another one that I think a lot of people go through, right? Parents have emotional outbursts and out of respect and love. Of course, we're not saying disrespect nobody, or we're not saying any of that. But a lot of, I think, parents, as Joanna said, they emotionally manipulate their kids, right? So as we said, we blow things out of proportion. There may be a glass, I think I said this last week actually, a glass may have been broken or something, and instead of accepting that, okay, this is just a material possession, it is blown out like, oh, if you broke the glass, especially if they themselves are going through something. And realistically, they're probably not reacting to the broken glass, but they're not separating their emotions from parenting, and they act out as a result, right? And as we said, you either grow kids as a result that are petrified to fail, because every time they failed it was a big thing, or you have kids who become nonchalant and they don't care because them say, boy, I may get cussing anyways. I've literally heard other students or other kids say that. Like, yeah, they just blow everything out of proportion, so they prepare for the argument, they prepare for the problem, and they just do it because they've gotten so used to it, right? So parents, I really hope we're looking into this and understanding how we are impacting our kids' lives, because sometimes this transitions into adulthood. This is probably even transitioning right now into our high schools, and then everybody's question is, why is this happening amongst our students? Why is this happening amongst our teenagers? Why is this happening? Because guys, I have to say, the other day when we had the World Read Across Jamaica Day, and it was so interesting to me to see the innocence of the kids. They were so bubbly and outspoken, and they were just charming, right? And then I really had to question what changes between, I think it was 5th grade students that we're talking to, and I had to ask myself, what changes between grade 5 and high school? I think it's a very valid question.
Yeah.
Like, what happens in that year or 2 years at least that transitions to what we're seeing in high schools?
Well, it's not even just probably one grade just as that, because it happens probably for some persons, probably a transition from 2nd grade to 3rd grade.
Yeah.
That change probably takes place from 1st form to 2nd form. But sometimes it just so happens that once a child reaches one of those transformative years, it's like it can possibly get to a different person.
Yeah, and that's really, because I said the students I saw, like, I couldn't look at them and say, boy, yeah, man, you look like you're gonna cause problem.
Yeah.
You look like you're gonna, and I mean, not gonna say them now, give them little trouble,
Yeah,
because
we
children
understand kids
naturally
with the
come
kids.
with them little,
Yeah, we
you know, they're
understand
gonna
kids with the
test,
kids.
they're gonna test
But
boundaries, they're
some
gonna try things.
are, as they call it, no, some will push the envelope.
Exactly.
And that's where we need to probably find out what is triggering such behavior.
Exactly. So parents, we need to work on the emotional aspect. I understand that we are going through things as adults, but you cannot take it out on the child.
Right,
You cannot build up all the anger from your relationship and your marriage, and then once the child is something, all of a sudden they get the brunt of it. That is not healthy.
I think as I say, I don't know if well, I know there's a governing body, but I think there should be like a more community based where we can actually see parents and say, we don't think that's that's not good, but it's gonna be so hard to set that guideline, because I mean, what happens when the parents about the foolishness with the child? What we do? Who governs that? You get what I'm saying? Until it probably gets to the point where they probably have to call Child Protective Services. But who does that general monitoring? Because when certain situations reach a child, sometimes some parents are not equipped to handle it. And are these parents reaching out for help? Because I know some parents have seen situations where the child is, let's say, they act out in a certain way and they do it repetitively. Some parents take up this step where them say, you know what, may I just left you to you.
That's
and
actually
that is
something,
not safe.
It's actually something we're gonna highlight as
Yeah.
well. But I love that you said that, because it ties into what MV said last week. He said parenting is a course that should be taught.
Yeah.
And I think I support
You
that.
need some supervisor or some counselor to help you get through.
It has to be. I don't know if it's when the mothers are in hospital or something, but something needs to be done.
I need to have to check
at
up.
some
point. We have to check up.
Right? Like when you have Lamar's classes,
Yeah.
and you have to have something that when you're going to be a parent, it is almost compulsory. We know we can't force nobody, but it is almost compulsory that you go through this course. We feel like that would make a difference. Joanna says that that's exactly what happened. We get the blank end of the stick, especially if the dad leaves. So she's talking about the relationships that don't work out. And all of a sudden, boy, you favor your father, or your father picnic. The minute you do something that's not in agreement, or God forbid you look like you enjoy going over daddy more, oh my Lord, you pay for it, right? So those are things that parents need to be more cognizant of, the way we react to it, right? Another thing when it comes to self-centered behavior, and I am a big I strongly believe this is something that needs to change. A lot of parents, they overshare. In that effort of trying to be cool and relatable and to show your child that we can be best friends, overshare.
I think that is also one of the thing that is rough for these kids nowadays, because everybody's like, they have some parents growing the child like a bestie.
Yeah.
I mean, let the child be a child. Let them have their innocence. Let them not know everything for a while, because trust me, them don't need to know how much them father send every month. That's between you and the father. You give them lunch money out of it. Them supposed to know that. You're gonna tell you have a child which is 6 and 7 and 8. I'm gonna tell the father, say, listen, me ear say you never send the water bill today. What kind of conversation that is the child having with the father when that's a parent's issue to sort out? You get me? And I think those things help put a burden on the child. Because the child is supposed to take up that step.
And I love that you mentioned that, because I realize a lot of times I've seen videos like this. And I mean, I've seen the humor in it too. So I'm not judge nobody. Right? But there are sometimes I see videos on social media of kids, like, not say cussing, because we're not talking about bad or nothing.
Right.
But they're reprimanding or them address a situation, and the way them talk, I could have literally know say them mother. Literally, it just sound like, you don't even know them mother, you never encounter them mother in a life.
Yeah.
But no child talks like that.
Exactly.
Well, every day you get up and you do this and you just sleep, and I say, what, the child not talk like this? You're literally replicating, and I'm not targeting only mothers, because fathers do it too.
Right.
But it's mothers, a lot of times, I feel like we are the greater percentage, because we're more emotional with certain responses. A man will probably tough it out and just not say nothing. And most fathers see that. Boy, the mother argue, but you might not hear it back from the child. You may not ever, you probably go tell him, bridging them, or I'm going to drink, or whatever. But I don't think it is as prevalent as mothers oversharing with their children. So as Lionel say, you find out, say, boy, you're only saying, boy, you're 6 feet, now your father not send no lunch money for you. Why are you telling the child that? Why are you building up an animosity within the child? The child have his own experience with the parent, but it's like you want support in it. And then eventually it's you and the mother against the father, and you're ruining their relationship. Which is completely independent of you, especially if you're not together anymore. Yes, we're gonna share this child, but it's a relationship independent of you now, right? Don't go into a lot of detail, even intimate details, right? Like, who not really going a sex life, and them something there,
have new girl now.
And then a lot of parents are using the children to find out information. What she name, what she look like, some picture.
Have all these things. I put the child in some situation where no, sir, it's toxic.
Guys, I've seen this so often, like, and on social media, also parents brag about that. You man, that's my little spy, my little sidekick, because anything you want to know, or you actually manipulate the child for them to ask for certain things because you want certain things. So make sure you ask the father for this, until the father, and then we wonder why, as adults, we have women who think a certain way.
Right.
That is the reality. We don't look at the chain reaction. So I really implore all of you, as I say, whether you're a parent figure, your neighbor, somebody, and sometimes you look out for the picnic probably come over often, whatever it is, we have to evaluate, are we guilty of doing this? Right? So the oversharing thing, it needs to stop. It needs to stop.
Yeah.
Another one is they fail to provide you with affirmation and security. So some people believe that showing tough love is an important way to ensure that their children can take care of themselves in the future. If you were the recipient of this approach on a regular basis, you might even believe that this has had a positive impact on your life. However, if you practically fall apart now because of any perceived failure or rejection, then this most likely stems from a parent's toxic refusal to provide you with the right amount of security and affirmation while you were young. Tough love might work sometimes, but it cannot be the only approach a parent takes if they want their child to become a well-rounded adult. And I think most of this, it is prevalent with mothers, but more so with fathers. I've seen fathers literally see them, especially when it comes to them sons. Your son is crying for some reason, him drop. I'm not gonna say you can't. You're not gonna comfort him all the time.
Right.
But for some fathers is one extreme or the other. You understand?
Mhm.
So once you drop, boy, we have alpha.
Yeah.
Brush off yourself. Your child is very feeling pain. It hurts. It actually hurts, guys. Right? Don't just say, boy, you know, man, don't feel pain.
I
You're
know the
born to
crazy
that.
thing about it. Probably when they were a child, they used to born too. So
Exactly.
what you expect?
Right? And it's even worse when it's emotional pain because you can't even explain. You can't tell somebody how it even feels. So you can't even say to them what you feel. We as adults can't explain what emotional pain.
Well,
it just hurts.
But remember, say, as a child, you feel some pain. So like you drop and hit your elbow. You know, so it's a different level of pain. That you feel that pain. The emotion, the trauma will come when somebody looking at me, telling me, say, what me a bad for? So now me confused and I say, but me I feel pain, so what me do you know? Me don't know if you start ball internally. Like, and that is the safe.
And then you're even told I'm gonna give something for ball for what?
So
I'm already going through something.
So now you're afraid and you didn't want to let out a little pain because you're afraid you'll get more pain from it. Trust me, that's trauma. That's
trauma,
dangerous.
and that is something that happens so often in our society.
Mm-hmm.
But guys, we're gonna go to the break. Listen, I tell you, it's a big topic. We never touch half of the topics out here, so yet.
Yeah.
But we have more to come, so guys, stay tuned for after the break.